Hi guys, thank you for stopping by. My name is Jermaine aka Jay and welcome to my channel. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Hello and welcome to another episode of Jay's Big Chat with me, your host, Jermaine aka Jay, where we'll be discussing the topic politics. Joining me today, we have Maureen, Marc, Christina, and Ervince. Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Hiya.
Hello.
You happy to be here?
Yeah.
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 I'm excited to be here and look forward to the chat.
Good stuff. Glad to have you guys. So we're here to chat.
Yes, we have.
Who likes to chat?
We all
Yeah, we all do.
You all like to chat?
We
Yeah.
love to talk.
Yeah. We like to talk. We like to talk politics.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
favorite subject.
Okay, so I heard that politics is a little bit like Marmite. You either love it or you hate it. So who's a politic lover?
I like politics. I mean, I've avoided all the Brexit politics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like politics.
Okay, you like talking about politics, or you like, you know, the just everything surrounding politics?
I think it's important to know what's going on in your environment. Whether you agree with it or not, I think it's important to know.
Politics governs our lives.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
So, we have to, whether we choose to get involved or not,
Yeah.
everyone is involved whether they realise it.
Yeah.
So it's basically people's opinions of what's going on in the world and society.
Yeah. I think it should be taught from a young age. Engagement should be something that we all should want to do, but I think disenfranchisement is like, it's a thing, so I mean there's a reason behind it, I guess. But I think it is important to have engagement in politics.
Totally.
Yeah.
I don't think it's not talked about enough unless it comes to the point of where it's time to vote.
Yeah.
There's an election
Yeah.
or something that's important, but politics is going on every single day.
Of course.
Decisions are being made on our behalf, and people don't really get or understand how those decisions are being made, and basically whether they have the power to make a difference as well.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with what you're saying in the sense of that youngsters need to be educated more because this is their future as well.
Yeah.
So they need to be aware of what's going on and what's been set up for them.
Decisions are being made for them and they're not having a part in it. So
Which is actually quite, I think that's
Yeah.
what the scary thing is.
Yeah.
Politics and government generally are not doing what they're supposed to do. It's basically look after the people. People are voting them in, there seems to be more of a popularity contest
Oh, yeah.
rather than what they're actually there to do. So there's just a bunch of careerists there to get involved just to fill their pockets and do whatever they need to do. Which is it's a shame. So I think people should be taught about what government is actually supposed to be about and what politics is really supposed to do.
Okay.
Because you've got the media at the moment that's feeding people, because a lot of people take on board what the media says and trust it implicitly rather than actually question it. So
True.
it is something where, politics in all different ways, including within history as well, needs to be delivered effectively for young adults, for children, well, not necessarily children should actually have a life, to be fair. But
Yes.
young adults should understand, because they're coming up to that age of voting, so rather than going for this, like I said, this popularity
Yeah, of course.
contest, they need to really see, are these people actually going to help us, or is it just one of those things they're doing?
Yeah.
Like
I guess
say.
maybe
Yeah.
when you say it like that, maybe then it's down to politicians to engage
Yeah.
with young people.
Yeah, no, but they're fake,
Do-
isn't
But
it?
I also think that they don't.
They're fake. They're
Well,
fake.
no, they engage, but they
No, they-
engage in a way, just like you said, just because it's coming up to election.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what we're going to do for you, and
Yeah.
all these different parties.
But why is that? You know.
Because I don't think it benefits them to have a certain type of engagement. As long as they're in the job, they don't really need the engagement. Because if you're getting in office and you're winning elections, it doesn't matter. People voting for you, really.
So who
But
does
no,
the
but that's-
responsibility?
Yeah, but they need to. I mean, the whole
yeah.
the whole point of it. I mean, sorry, I'm sorry,
No,
I'm going to
no,
have to
sorry.
bring up like the Brexit situation.
Okay.
It's just the fact that everyone was put in a position to vote for something that no one understood or knew
Exactly.
about.
Yeah.
So, the government that did it, the current government now, did it to, I think they did it to sort of play our bluff. Because I think what it's done now, I associate with a specific political party, but at the same time, looking at everything that's going on, looking at what's happened with Brexit, it's quite clear that no one knows what they're doing.
No.
And people have been elected to do things to try and change
Yeah.
this country. But what we've actually realised is that none of them are qualified
Yeah.
to do the job.
But just, Yeah, sure, go on,
Because I
yeah.
think there's one hand you've got government, you've got politics, but you've got also the people. And I still think that people should be held account to actually ask the questions.
Mm.
I do not understand how Brexit got through and no one asked.
Yeah.
How is it going to happen?
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
me, it was an
Yeah.
obvious thing. And I think history shows that as well.
Yeah.
I think once you put a decision to be made in the populace, you have to be very careful because, I mean, it's all well and good to have the population vote on a thing, but then you also have if it's 50-50, maybe it's not a good idea to have the vote because
Yeah.
it's just going to cause
Well,
division.
okay, so
We
based
shouldn't have had it in the first
so
place.
based on what we
You think we should?
I think there should have been more information because people weren't good at gathering information themselves.
Mm.
And I think it should have been impartial. The information should have been from an independent body that looked at the facts, not having one party say one thing and another party. It should be something.
That's where the media got involved.
Yeah,
isn't it?
and I think that's the trouble.
So, we're talking now on politics,
Mm.
but we're talking on the dreaded subject, which is Brexit.
Yeah.
So in May 2019, and this Brexit talk started in 2016. And I feel like so many political issues have been shelved or not spoken about as much, within Parliament, on the news, whatever, because of Brexit, because it's such a huge project, It's literally a not just a nation being affected, but like the entire world. So I feel like as much as we try and run away from the topic of Brexit, somehow it just keeps coming back up in conversation.
I'm sorry.
No, but it's true. But it's-
Yes.
No. I was trying to stay away
It's
from it.
doing
but,
It's such a huge
yeah.
topic. I mean,
Yeah.
so many people have been affected by it,
Yeah.
including myself.
Yeah.
I'm a French citizen
Okay.
living in the UK. So, what does Brexit mean?
Right.
Britain leaving the European Union.
Right.
That alone should have pushed people to want to find out what is it,
Yeah.
and go a bit deeper and find out about how it would affect different industries and so on. But that alone should make people want to find out more.
Mm.
Why does Britain want to leave the European Union?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the point? And also, so the reason why I said it's affected me because being here and not worrying about my status,
Mhm.
all of a sudden there's new worries, new questions
Of course.
that come up.
Of course.
So that's why it's a big thing. That's why we talk about it.
Yeah.
It's changed so many people's lives.
It has.
You know?
But then again, I think where you've got the people that are born here, where they feel that it doesn't affect them, it's the same old, same old.
Oh yeah.
It's like politics. It's not, they're
Yeah.
still going to be the ones
Yeah.
with no money,
Yeah,
no
exactly.
jobs. So
But
no
it's-
matter this, whether in or out of Europe, their situation is not really
I
going
was
to
actually
change.
going to say it did actually, I mean, whether we were born here or not, I think it did make a massive impact because it brought all the racists out.
Yeah.
Oh.
And sorry for me to be so
Yeah.
blunt
No,
about
no,
it,
it
it
did,
brought
it did.
all the racists out,
It
and then you've got people saying, no, I'm not racist, I just want Britain to be an empire again. Do you remember what the empire did? Do you know? Was you taught this in
Yeah.
history, which
Yeah.
none of us have
But do you
actually
think
done,
that
it's
it
Yeah.
brought it out, or it was a spotlight was put on there because racism never actually really went?
Oh no.
Well, no, the main
think
topic that the media was pushing was
Yeah, no,
immigration.
I think
Yeah.
it brought it
Yeah.
out. It definitely
And
brought it out.
then they kept saying, if this money didn't go to France, 350 million, whatever it was,
That's
it's going to go
NHS.
to the NHS.
Yeah.
And when you look at how the way it was done, it was just like a political party
Mhm.
going out trying to get people to vote for them.
There was
Yes.
And
undertones of-
yeah, exactly. I
of
mean,
racism.
they did actually expect the public to not do it. They
Mm.
expected the
Yeah.
public to say, no, we want to stay in Europe.
Yeah.
And everyone knows that after the vote, what happened is loads of people went out and I started researching what is the European Union after
it's
they
true.
voted. Because,
It's true.
it's messed
exactly
up.
one point.
It was
Yeah.
on Google. They had a thing about Google search history. As soon as we decided to leave, that went to the top of Google search.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the European
But to be
Union?
After the vote,
fair,
everybody's like, what?
to be fair, I was probably one of those searches. Only because a lot of the things that was said, during the campaigns, like for instance, vote to leave because X, Y, and Z, right? I didn't realize the relationship that the United Kingdom had within the EU to that sort of, that sort of debt. And when you start researching, you realize, wait a minute, that doesn't really add up to what you're promising, But at the same time, although it might have been a massive search, right? Maybe hundreds of thousands. We're talking about millions of people, right? We're talking about millions of people who voted for something that they had no idea about. And the reason why they had no idea about it, because those who proposed it in the first place had no idea about it either. So in terms of how it would affect a French citizen, in terms of how it would affect someone from, Spain, Italy, another European country, no one knew the implications it would have, because you're talking about leaving and making the deal. 2019, and we still have not got a deal on the table to see, to say how this is going to end. So still, really and truly, what did we vote? We voted to leave, but what does that mean?
This is the thing. I think people who voted to remain, people who voted to leave, it didn't really matter what happened. We all got screwed over.
Yeah, of course, it's true.
Nothing's actually happening. I believe in democracy, and I know everyone's going, we've got to do people's vote, second referendum, which I agree with. I think it's a good idea, but at the same time, I don't think we should do it, because then if we vote again, what does that mean? That means democracy, that means we kill
Based on
democracy.
what?
No, but the thing is, I look about the bigger picture. So if you look later on down the line, if we end up doing another vote, it's basically going against the people that voted to leave. So we don't know what can happen in the future. Could you imagine if they turn around and say, well, we did a second referendum for this. You have to do it for something.
But that's something else,
And it
it's
could be
true.
something worse. It could be like a dictatorship for all that.
I agree.
And it's basically, you're opening a really bad... basically. And there is, what I was saying about the media. So you got Jeremy Corbyn, who actually wrote something which was quite positive, that the EU actually accepted, but then Theresa May said, no, actually, we don't want that, because again, she didn't care about the people. All she cares about is her popularity and keeping their party on top. When they all should be working together right now.
I think they're all working together, but they still
need to work
don't
together.
understand or know.
None of them really have an idea. This
That's
is what I mean.
it. So
This
together
whole
or not, it's
situation,
still...
this whole situation has highlighted that our entire government haven't got a flipping clue what they're doing. We basically put people into power. It doesn't matter what party it is. They are clueless. They're all careerists.
Yes.
And none of them at all have the people at heart. Well, actually, no, maybe Jeremy Corbyn, but at the same time, there's maybe Jeremy Corbyn. No, maybe Jeremy Corbyn.
You say no?
Yeah.
No, I'm laughing because that's quite specific.
Then again, you look at like Caroline Lucas as well. People from the Green Party, there's other parties, but when you see other people, I mean, even within where I live in Enfield, we were the first borough to vote no confidence in our MP, and then it sort of triggered a domino. It's just like Brexit at the moment. They're feeding us so much fear that we don't really know whether leaving or remaining was actually a good idea or not.
Of course.
And France and Italy are actually thinking of leaving now because of all of this, because they've got no idea. So this could be a massive collapse, but at the same time, what could it mean for the rest of the people? War? Could it mean, we've got no idea what's going to happen, but as long as, as long as we don't work with the US.
I would say that in terms of the negotiation, I do think she was in a difficult position, because one thing when you're trying to negotiate something, you can't say, okay, I'm trying to negotiate for a better deal or a good deal, but I could never leave. Even though in their hearts they would never leave, or they want to never leave, it's very difficult to then say, no, we're never going to leave, but can you give me a good deal? I do understand that, but then I also understand Jeremy Corbyn's side of saying we have to say that. We do, but we're trying to negotiate. It's very difficult to negotiate and have cards on the table. You have to keep your cards.
I think the parties need to negotiate amongst each other first before we even go to the European Union.
Well, that's the thing about it. How can you go to someone?
No, but Maureen,
well,
we've had within Parliament, we've had so many discussions, right? Party against party, so many oppositions, so many conversations based on what each party believes is good for the nation. So in terms of, should we, Brexit's already happening, so how should it happen, and then the idea of maybe a second referendum. I think before we even got to this stage, right, every single one of those politicians need to literally put their hand up and say, listen, from ever, we got this wrong. They all have to say, we got this wrong. The reason why, not necessarily we got the decision to leave the EU wrong,
You didn't
because
know
no
what was
one's saying that that is wrong, right? It's the way in which they did it.
Yeah.
There was no, how are you going to say, do you know what? Let's vote to leave this house.
Yeah.
Let's go and find another house. Let's leave this house, not knowing what area you're going to move into,
What's
what
out
house.
there. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you don't even know what's on the market yet.
But
So
this is
how are you
where
going to
I'm
put this?
agreeing. But this is where I'm
it's
agreeing with
silly.
people in the sense of
Yeah.
that. Why was that question never asked from the public?
Yeah.
They
No,
put
that's
the
the thing
vote.
about it.
It never should have reached the
The thing
public.
is though, it might, yeah, that's
That's
what I
it,
mean, it was
but
never,
even if it
if
does.
we weren't asked, it
Yeah.
was just thrown at us.
No, but
And we had to do with it.
Okay,
So
all right. So I'm going to
this
give
is
an
what I mean,
example.
this is
I'm going
what
to
I
go
mean, the
back.
government
I'm going to
now
give an
do not think
example.
about the
I'm going to give an
people.
example
Yeah.
and go back. Okay. I
Okay.
don't know if you guys remember the poll tax.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, poll tax versus council tax, and everybody was in uproar that they didn't want this tax on the houses.
I'm a little bit too young for that one.
Okay. All right. Don't
Explain
worry.
the poll.
You can Google.
What's the poll tax?
Google it.
What's the poll tax?
Okay. You had it was rates.
Okay.
Yeah,
For-
poll
for-
tax was basically like a sort of council tax.
Oh, okay.
Where they were basically, it was an additional tax that they were going to bring in, and the public basically just stood up and went against. There was
Oh, right,
basically
okay.
there was marches, everything, and they stopped it.
Okay.
But what
But-
they did was back door they crept
Oh.
into council tax. So
Did they?
They did, but it also was a point where it was like people, you've already stood up
Yeah.
before,
Okay.
let's stand up again.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then people were told that they may go to prison
Yeah.
if they didn't pay their council tax.
Yeah.
Right.
So people just
Yeah, that's
started
what they slept into it.
Yeah.
The warrant.
Right.
If you didn't pay it, then you would go to jail.
Yeah.
That's it, and
yeah.
then all of a
Serious.
sudden, that's it. So
Yeah.
they took away the power from the people in that respect.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's
pretty
basically
much-
what they did. Yeah.
It's pretty much a hike in council tax. So just what is that basically what you're saying? They just
No, it's basically, it was just an additional tax to the tax that we're paying
oh,
now.
okay.
So there's council tax is reasonably probably 25 years old or something like that.
Oh,
It's
right,
not really that,
okay.
well, roughly,
Mhm.
not, don't take my word for
Yeah.
it, it's not too long ago, because it's
Mm.
around the 80s that it came out.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just, they're just basically imposing more and more taxes. So it's just like cuts that are going across councils across the
Mm.
country.
I know.
People are paying into this council tax. What exactly is this money going for? If they're actually
Yeah,
putting it
of
into
course.
private, companies,
It's
it's
true.
just like, where is our tax going?
As you said,
It's
it is-
public services.
It is about the question, asking the questions.
That's it.
And
I
if the questions aren't being asked
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
not being, you're not being
So-
challenged on something.
So my
But-
reason for that
Yeah.
example was that people stood up and they rose and they really, from the point, the
Mm.
initial point.
Mm.
So when they put in this vote for Brexit or not, people just went and voted
Mm.
rather than stand up and challenge, like, what is
I
this
think
all
you
about?
have to remember what was going on at
Yeah.
the time. Just before that EU referendum came about, there was the whole Scottish referendum.
Oh, they-
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Independent, yeah.
David Cameron was feeling quite
Oh, yeah.
strong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I can say that, you know.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
went to-
No, true,
Yeah.
true.
He was
That's a
feeling
good
quite
point.
strong. I saw it as the same kind of scenario.
That's,
The
He
EU
wanted
ref-
to leave.
Yeah, but-
Originally he wanted to leave, and then suddenly when it was going on, he was just like, actually, no, he
Yeah.
No, but the way they presented the EU referendum was the same way. And so for him, I think he thought, people were going to say no. We
Mhm.
want to
Yeah, that's
stay.
what I mean. They played our bluff.
they did.
Yeah.
They
They
played,
did.
they played the country bluff.
They did. They
Because,
did.
they just assumed, they assumed people understood about economics.
Yeah.
They
That's the
understood about
thing.
international affairs,
Mhm.
That's
because
the thing.
it's true, because us leaving the EU, which, is quite clear this is not actually going to happen. They're just going to drag it out as long as they can.
Yeah. Do you not think it's going to happen?
Do you know what?
I think
I
that's a
think-
big question.
Well, the thing is, I'll
It
tell you
is.
what, if it doesn't happen, there's going to be riots, there's going to be some sort of
Do you know,
weird
I think there's
revolution.
gonna
I'm
be-
going to
Yeah.
be somewhere amongst the crowd.
I think there's
But,
buyer's
there will be
regret.
something.
I think there is buyer's regret, to be honest.
There's buyer's regret.
Yeah.
There's buyer's regret, but you see what I think
But
the
yeah,
problem.
it's good, I like that.
You see what I think the problem is, right? Sometimes buyer's regret can get you into trouble, right? Buyer's regret is you go out and you buy, you say, do you know what? I'm going to try this meal, right? And the meal comes and you bought it. It's not to your liking at all,
But
right?
it's
But you
something-
spent money on it, so
Yeah.
you're gonna
Yeah.
eat it painstakingly. You're gonna eat it, and
You're
you're
gonna take
the
your
most
medicine.
worth it. You're gonna eat it just because you're like, no, I paid for it. I bigged it up. I'm just gonna have it. So I feel like a lot of individuals who said, do you know what? We want to leave, and they stood strong. Say, yeah, we want to leave because of X, Y, and Z reason. Then when those reasons actually came to light as being false, and then like real reasons came about what leaving actually meant, pride and buyer's regret then kicks in and goes, well, nope, I voted for this, and I'm gonna. I feel
I
like
would say, because the vote is technically anonymous, I think people have I think it's easy to
But
say. A lot of people have changed their minds.
No, of course.
It's
Well, yeah, 'cause they built the
interesting
fear into everything,
Yeah.
haven't they?
because
You know.
people that I know who voted, I'm like, ooh, to leave. I'm like, wow, I didn't
Yeah,
expect
no,
them.
I was quite shocked.
You know, so that really surprised me. And some of them have said to me that partly it's just that, well, let's see what the government's going to do. You know, if people, yeah, basically, that was it. And it was that. It was like
My house
all of
burns
these
down.
problems.
Why not?
No, and I
It's
like I
smouldering,
said,
but-
That's playing with fire there.
it's like,
Oh wow.
we've got all of these problems. Now they're going to have to be dealt with.
Yeah.
You know,
And now what's going on?
Yeah.
You get
Everyone don't know
people,
what they're doing.
Yeah, it's true.
you get
True.
people that are saying like, okay, we voted to leave, so why are we still in here? And I think there's some people that just doesn't understand.
Yeah.
It takes longer to move a house, so of course it's like to
Yeah.
leave the EU.
Yeah, but you see the problem with that, Ervince, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it takes a long time to leave the EU, right? But with a proper structured plan in the first place,
Yeah.
you know, talking about project management, with the right plan in place, right, it could have been a lot smoother. And the reason why it could have been a lot smoother is because you would have had less opposition within the same parties. You're having
I think it's like planning for pigs to fly. They didn't think pigs
No.
were gonna fly.
no true,
Yeah.
true.
well, if you said Dumbo,
But I think the problem is, I saw a stat the other day on, I can't remember which news channel, but
Yeah.
they had, it kind of explained why there's so much internal disagreement
Yeah.
in Parliament, because many MPs voted to remain.
Of course.
So now even though people in their
Yeah.
constituencies
Even Theresa May
wanted
Yeah.
to
voted
leave,
to remain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're just going to move on slightly from politics, and slightly from the Brexit part of
Yeah.
things when it comes to politics, right? But still looking at, I guess, when it comes to parties, right? And these parties are in charge of, you know, passing laws and bills and so forth through Parliament, well, for the people, right? It's a little bit strange that you have parties who would say, X, Y, and Z. This is what we want to do, and actually, it might be a fantastic idea. But because it came from this party, then another party goes, no, we wouldn't be doing that. We will be doing, and they have to think of something total opposite of what they're doing, and it's like, come on, you got to give credit where credit's due. Yes, we'll support you on this one because that's a fantastic idea, and we can see how it will benefit the nation. It will benefit the people.
That's an
you know?
inherent flaw in politics.
Yes.
but hold on, don't they do this though? It's like, well, that was our idea when we were in power. We put it this way,
Yeah.
and now
Well, they
you know,
blame
you
other
could-
people, but you know,
Yeah.
it was that party that did this. This is why
Yeah.
we're in this mess.
You know,
It's
I
just
think
like, well,
it's,
actually, no, they should be working. Sorry, I've just got to say,
Oh,
the
that's all right.
parties. It doesn't matter what parties or
Yeah.
whoever you affiliate with. The main focus should be the people that are voting for them.
Mhm.
They should be working for us and the entire country, the entire nation
Here's a
has
It's like what you're saying
forgotten
with
that.
Korea
Mm.
No, it's true, but it's true. But people, like, they should be working for us.
Mm.
That's the whole point of it.
Mm.
They shouldn't be getting in private companies
Mm.
where all of our tax money is going towards to make other people
To be
richer.
honest, there's
It
Tories
should
bits.
be. Yeah,
So
I
that's
know.
always
We're
been the
learning
case.
from me, so good luck with that.
the Tories did
I
what?
did get that ball rolling to me.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I didn't like.
What's that? Which one?
Putting
Privatisation
putting
of-
our public funds,
Right.
our tax money
Into
into
private.
private.
I don't agree with that at all. The trains, I think.
And stop
personally-
voting for them then.
Oh,
Alright.
So-
Oh.
That's all right.
Sorry.
Did you always vote for? Did you
No, I
always?
initially I voted. When I first voted, it was for Labour.
Right, okay, because for me that is really interesting because I believe, well, I was challenged in the sense I've always voted Labour.
Yeah.
Brought up, family, you know, always believed in Labour. Labour
Okay,
runs
but-
for the people, and that is it.
Mm.
But
Tony Blair.
Yeah,
and
Tony Blair.
Tony Blair.
The walking on the phone.
But anyway,
Sorry.
Yeah.
That one.
what have you done?
To be fair, it was-
But what I realised, the reason why I brought this up was that as you start to get older, I noticed that as people are getting older, they start to have a more of a conservative mind in
Yeah,
terms of when
so.
it comes to money, riches.
I think I would say that I'm in between. I have there's certain aspects of Labour that I really like, there's certain aspects of Conservatives that I really like.
So do you want to start your own party?
I don't think I'm
Don't join the independent party.
No,
They've got no idea what they're flipping.
No.
Exactly. Just,
Yeah,
yeah.
just jumping ship, I think.
Yeah. What were you saying?
I think, for example, for Labour, I do like the social aspects of like looking after people and looking after people that need it. I think we need more of that in the world. Also, I do think business is very important, but I think it has to be responsible. I think we should have public healthcare, public transport. I think our trains need to be going back to public run. I don't think it should be run for profit because to me that doesn't really make sense. Our healthcare needs to stay public.
It's not healthy in our pockets either.
Yeah, huh?
The trains are not healthy.
It's so expensive.
They're not
When
healthy.
you've got all that money going
Mhm.
out of the country, going to the people that are operating the trains and stuff, to me that doesn't, I think for our national security, those sort of things, our power, healthcare and transportation should be run by the government for the people. The money stays in and is invested.
Exactly.
I remember when we went to the beach last year, where was it?
Sussex?
Yeah, and we had to go over a toll bridge.
Yes.
Someone was telling me that it was owned by the French.
Really?
Yeah.
What, Dartford?
Dartford.
I think so, yeah.
Oh, really?
Was
Oh,
it?
They've got loads of toll bridges in
But
France.
it was quite strange to think, why is it owned by the French? I mean,
So they're getting the revenue
that
from.
just baffled me.
Yeah.
It baffled me.
Yeah. So the question is, going back to voting, should voting be compulsory?
I do think you'll get throwaway votes if you were to do that.
Yeah.
You get people that are just, you know what,
Yeah,
take a
it
vote.
shouldn't
It's
be.
supposed to be free will.
Yeah.
I guess, people should choose to vote, but I think people should be encouraged to vote
Yeah.
for a reason where, this is where the education thing
Mhm.
probably
Yeah,
comes in.
okay.
Where people should be taught about it so they understand the purpose of it. But more and more people, and I've noticed that more and more, I'm sure you've met with people nowadays who just like, can't be bothered to vote. There's no
Yeah.
point doing
Yeah.
it because
You
it doesn't
see-
really matter.
Yeah.
It's like cut off one head, it's the same
Yeah.
person,
Yeah.
it's the same person always
Yeah, I
goes
mean,
back, it doesn't
when I've
change.
come across
Yeah.
those people, I've tried to say, what about people who have given their lives for the right to vote?
Yeah.
And I try that, but it doesn't work. And I think that it's down to now the politician to put himself
Okay.
forward and
But then,
Well, yeah,
and-
this is
and
this
convince
one, yeah.
I
voters
don't
to
think they're
vote.
going to do that. The simple thing is,
That's what it should
it's for the benefit of a politician that certain people
So-
don't vote.
Well,
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
actually going to say, but at the same time, you've only got like just a few parties
Yeah.
that people are really putting in the
Yeah.
media.
You
So
see-
it's really insane.
yeah.
There's all these other places, other parties that are actually
So if
available.
like a
Why
poor
aren't people
person
hearing
doesn't
about
Because they're
those?
not
Yeah.
educated. It goes back
Yeah.
to education. I remember
So
in
they
my
don't come from
borough.
Eton.
No.
That's what it is.
No, okay, so in my borough is a Labour borough,
Yeah.
and we had a mayor, a Labour mayor, but he wasn't actually really for the people. And the thing about it was that people were still voting because he's Labour, but he was still doing things that benefited more for him than for the people.
Yeah.
Okay, but part of it is that he had people, they say his cronies. Okay, so and I think that's what
That's
you're
what they
saying.
say by MP.
But is that what you were saying in the sense of that certain politicians don't want everybody to vote
No.
because that means that they will be put out of
Yeah.
power, and it's about just gathering their own
Yeah.
to keep
So
them in power.
Just you have to get your people to vote and
Yes.
disenfranchise
Yeah.
the people that you don't. So if you're wealthy, you don't want. I mean, most
Yeah.
probably you don't want poorer people voting.
Democracy's biggest lie is the fact that I love democracy. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, but I think its biggest lie is almost that people in power are there for your benefit.
No, and that's what I struggle
That's
to
the words,
understand.
no, but those are the words. People in power.
Yeah.
Those specific words.
And it's,
Those words should never be used.
Yeah.
Because if you're saying people in power, what you're doing is you're giving people a label. You're giving
Yeah.
them an ideology of who they should
Yeah.
be. When
Yeah.
in fact, what they're doing is they're not in power. They're there to work for us. They're not in power at all. They're there to.
Yeah.
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 But that's it.
but it is true that they say people that tend to, I would say the word again, power. People that tend to seek power most of the times are not the people that should.
Exactly. This is
that
what I mean.
should
There's
have
loads of
power.
careerists. That's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Well,
There's a lot of careerist politicians.
Yeah.
Out there
But
that
do they
have
not
no-
start off? Do they not start off with the good intentions? You know,
Well,
'cause-
to
and
win
then-
people around, of course.
I think
lobbyists get
maybe
involved.
30 years ago.
To win-
I think 30 years they might have actually had good
But
intentions, but now it's just
Now,
like
Lopez checked
I was
I think-
thinking about getting onto Big Brother. Sorry, I'm just
Yeah.
thinking about, you know, back in the day, you know, you got politicians that really cared about, you know, because you had suffragettes, you had people fighting for people to have equal rights, voting, etc. Now suddenly it's like, oh, actually, if I get into power, if I get into government, I can get all these backhanders. I can get all these companies in because but this is what it is. It's
But I think that was
turned
always happening
into a
anyway.
massive mafia.
No, I think that was happening already
Yeah,
because
true.
the light
True.
was never put on them.
No, but
No,
they
well, no,
become
because
good at it.
that's it. They're
They become
untouchable.
professionals.
Yeah,
That's basically
true.
that's the way they've done it. They've done it because they're untouchable. Because if you look about anyone who comes over to different countries from, you know, they've got sort of diplomatic, you know, community there as well, so they can go around killing people, but it's all right.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
They're politicians, okay.
That's true.
You know, and
That's
this is
true.
what I mean. When you look at everything that's going on, I mean, look at what Tony Blair did. He led us into a war that was illegal. You know, so many people died, but he's
I'm
not
not
been held
even.
accountable.
But the thing about me is bigger than that.
No,
You
of
know,
course
it's
bigger
been
than that.
going. It's been going on like this forever.
I think
It's
it's like an agenda, isn't it?
It
It's
goes.
a
It's
huge
like
agenda. It's just that the East is basically being taken over by the West, and I'm not talking about literally as in continents. I'm talking about mindsets. Capitalism is basically the evil of this world. Because, you know, people are losing traditions, people are losing culture because all they focus on is money, money, money. And don't get me wrong, it's good to have money. People need money to survive, business is good, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, should that mean this humanity should suffer because of that? No, it shouldn't.
I think it's
That's just my...
Yeah.
I think idealistically, capitalism, I mean, as an idea, is a good idea. But what I think, especially in America,
what part of like what part of the idea?
I have a skill, I have a trade, and you don't have that skill or trade or that good, and you want to barter. So I exchange my skill or my trade or whatever for currency. Whatever it could be another good that you make, that you produce, and we exchange. There's a market. What tends to happen is, especially in America, there's this idea that the market rules everything. If it makes money, it's okay. And I think that's extremely dangerous because that's when you have corruption. That's when you have doctors taking checks from pharmaceutical companies to over-prescribe and stuff like that. So I kind of think, capitalism, I don't see it as the evil. I think people that get their hands under the table and do things that they shouldn't do, I think that is the evil. But
What about these big companies that are actually funding these political parties?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, and then there's other things that are going on in it. Like obviously, if we got this money from, let's just say, Halliburton, for example, you know, what their money's going into, I mean, I'm not going to say because it's on here, but the money that all these big companies, Unilever, all those, Procter and Gamble, you know, we need to start questioning because we're buying all these products, but we don't know as well. And behind the scenes, they're giving guns to kids. Do you know what I mean? And they're funding
But this is what I was
some of
saying. This has been going on forever. You know, this has been going on forever.
Power brokers,
and capitalism, there's the extremes. But like for me, I'm a business owner. You know, and I believe now that why am I buying into all of these big organisations where actually something that I make is of good value, is better value. I'm better off buying from somebody else that I know that's creating, like my friends made this jewellery. I'd rather buy from them than give my money to other people, as you said, that put it into systems, organisations that are for the worst. So
you're socially aware. Whereas there's a lot of people out there, they're just not thinking about that.
Goes back to education.
And, but yeah, it's true, this is it. Education needs to change because we've all been brainwashed. You know, because I told you about the convent school I went to. Like what history I was taught was about, and I always talk about this to loads of people I know, I was taught about the Tudors. Tell me what the hell is the Tudors? 5 years of the Tudors. Tell me what is that going to do? I mean, I could take you to Canterbury Cathedral and I could be your tour guide. I went there every single year. So when I talk about history, I want to know about real history. I don't want to learn about things that, you know, the winners. The winners who wrote history. You know, I want to know about what happened in the British Empire and what, you know, what really took place. I mean, we all know what took place. But at the same time, you know, why aren't people being taught that? Why aren't people understand?
Because it's not good for business. That's why.
Well, no, it's systemic racism. And this is it. And you know, there's so much things. This is why politics in general, you know, is the original subject, is so important because it's so deep that people aren't aware of it. And all of us are embedded in it, no matter how we look around and think, because it's been going on for thousands.
Totally. I mean, one of the reasons that I started voting is that I can't complain about anything if I don't vote.
Yeah, I think I agree, because for me, I think it's heartbreaking when I hear people say that. What's the point? I don't care. Because for me, voting is something that there's just so much value to it. When you think of history and people who had to suffer, and I always bring this point up with my friends who say, "What's the point?"
Yeah.
From black men who weren't allowed to women, who weren't equal, and all these things. And I think this should be taught in school. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But then I guess it goes down to self-worth. It's like, you got to understand that, like you said, people have died so that you can sit where you are and not do anything, which is a shame.
I think a word that you use about self-worth comes into it as well, because you still got females that are in the house, still second class, aren't supposed to think for themselves, are supposed to respect what the man or the husband says.
And you would vote on, and if you were to vote, you would vote on, say, this is my party, you're going to vote for that.
Exactly. Then you've got the younger people who feel like they've got no hope. So their self-worth is...
But then education is everything.
Yeah, education is
like everything.
I think it would be amazing if these people were to, including myself, realise that, hey, hang on, there's enough of me, there's enough of people like me, people that are disenfranchised, maybe like myself, that if we actually voted, I mean, we could
make a difference.
We could
Totally.
wipe the wall out.
So maybe it starts with us, because you've said something that they obviously don't know.
Yeah.
So maybe we have to somehow
I
influence our
feel this is
circles.
just a moment.
Should we do it? Should we do it? Yeah, should we join the world? That's it.
Stay tuned for part 2.
I've been on the speakers panel, and you've seen where we've gone to schools, and you've got young people standing up and speaking about topics, and they're actually really, really switched on.
They are,
and the Speakers Trust is a place where it's encouraging young people to speak up with their voices. And some of the subjects they were talking about, really hard-hitting political subjects.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.